What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Faithful Phanatics Show. As always, I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. And of course, to my right, my faithful co-host, Matt McGinty. Check him out on Twitter as well, at Matt_McGinty, as we stream to you guys live through DSM Media on our Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channel. So if you are new to DSM Media and the show, head on over to at DSM_media on Twitter. You can find the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform that we are on. If you're new to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and let's get to it, guys. Again, we'll obviously have the weekend to review in terms of how the Sixers went, obviously splitting 1-1 with the Cavs at home, and then the Heat on the back-to-back on Saturday night. And then we'll be previewing tonight's matchup against Chicago as the Sixers look to sweep the season series 4-0 against the Chicago Bulls. But what's up, dude? How was your weekend?
Too short is the answer to that one. Like every weekend, basically. But excited to see the Sixers play tonight after what was a dud on Saturday. Obviously, with the news Harden wasn't going to play, it made the game feel like the beginning of the season when there was just a hole there. So excited to see what happens tonight.
You know what's fun is me and my cousin like to bet back and forth over the week. So, I took a little bit of money from him playing darts last week. So, he tried to cut down his debt by betting on a game. He ended up winning. And then it got to Saturday for the Sixers Heat. And he calls me, "What do you want tonight?" And I took like Sixers plus like 4.5 or whatever against them. Don't you know, 2 seconds after I get off the goddamn phone call, I go on Twitter and James Harden's reported out. Call him back. Yo, let me get out. No getting out of that. So Sixers, in fact, did not cover. But yeah, me and Gint, we're talking before the show about retail, and retail fucking blows. I advise against it to anybody looking for a job, but Jesus Christ. All right, Gint, let's start with the weekend review. Obviously, we'll start at home against Cleveland on Friday night. And one thing that's becoming a little bit of a trend, obviously, it's nothing new. Like you said, one game, Harden didn't play Saturday, so you can't really chalk that up in there. And then it's new. So, of course, some hiccups in the road are expected. But over the last 3 games, the Sixers have started out very slow. They found themselves down double digits. They found themselves down at least 15 or 16 points in the last 2 or 3 games. What do you attribute that to? How long do you think that gets cleaned up? Because obviously the Cleveland game, it was nice to see them overcome that. They overcame like a 20, 22-point deficit. Obviously the Heat, they tried to chip away, cut it to 2, weren't able to come all the way back. But what are the Sixers doing early on in these games that are frustrating you?
I don't know if I can really. The thing is, I don't really know how to pinpoint it on the one thing. I feel like Joelle has been starting off a little sluggish. She's looked a little sluggish lately. Obviously, again, I don't want to beat on the Miami game too much, but he looked like he didn't even want to be there, which I don't blame him if Harden wasn't going to play. But the Cleveland game, it was tough. Same kind of thing. It was just super sluggish. And when shots aren't falling, they look even more sluggish. And Cleveland's a team where they get out, they run the break. Darius Garland's obviously a good talent, and the thing with them is they're super athletic as well. They're super big in the front court. They're super depthy. They have 4 guys that can really play in the front court. So if you're going to lose, if you're going to get beat on the glass, that's the type of team you're going to get beat on the glass too as well. So super sluggish. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey was unbelievable on that game. So that was great. Again, I don't want to beat on the Miami game too much. So really just talk about the Cleveland game.
Yeah, the Miami game's an interesting one because you knew the outcry was going to come. Even if James Harden played, that's a tough ask. That's a tough ask to not just have the back-to-back against 2 good teams. B, one's at home, second one's on the road. You fly into Miami at 3 a.m. C, James Harden doesn't play, so clearly you're shorthanded. D, the Cleveland game, it's not, anyone else's fault, but the Sixers did get down by 20-plus points, so they had to fight and scratch and claw for every point in that game to come back and win, so it was a hard-fought victory, and then you got to get on a flight and get into Miami in the middle of the night. So you knew the overreaction was coming. I can't take it. And I'll be honest, it's not a lot of people. I'm actually proud of Sixers Twitter and a lot of my followers and people that I follow on Twitter. no one was really, that worried, scheduled loss. But there are some people that here they come. They start barking. Even though the Sixers won 5 in a row before that, 4 in a row with James Harden on the floor, they have to find something to complain about. But the Miami thing you can't talk about. However, the one thing that's bothering me a little bit, it's hard to complain about him, dude. It's really hard to complain about Joel Embiid. But when my man, now you could chalk it up. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe he was just fatigued in Miami, right? But I've seen him dominate on second halves of back-to-backs earlier this season and drop 38 to 40 in those games. So I'm kind of weary of that excuse. When my man can't get it going early on in the game, when shots aren't falling, when he's being pushed out, triple teamed at the 3-point line by other teams and he's turning the ball over, his body language is awful. Awful, awful, awful. And like I said, I'm not trying to complain about him at all. He's my favorite athlete in the city. He's the MVP. He's the man. This was one of maybe 2 or 3 bad games he's had all season long. But his body language is a telling sign of how that game's going to go again, and it didn't look good.
I agree. My counterpoint to this is the biggest problem the Sixers are showing, especially as of this weekend, and it's the bench. The bench is giving them absolutely nothing besides outside of Georges Niang. Georges Niang's hitting a couple shots here and there, and Shake had a decent game the other night as well in Cleveland. But outside of that, like these starters are logging unbelievable amount of minutes, especially the top 4 with Tobias, Harden, Maxey, and Embiid. And we know they have their hands full, but Embiid had to play 38 minutes on Friday, and then, like you said, landed in Miami at 3 a.m. and hey, go play Bam Adebayo now.
Right, and PJ Tucker. Yeah.
Again, you are right though. The body language does get a little
right. It's a little aggravating because it's like, okay, I understand on one hand if you're fatigued, but fatigued and just looking frustrated and disengaged are 2 different things. I get it. If you're slow up and down the floor, if your hands on your knees early on in the game, you know what I mean? Panning, whatever. Looking just, triple team, turn the ball over, and then just slug your way back up, layup, come back the other way. Tyler Hero had about 4 layups in that game where Joel Embiid was a non-factor at the rim, right? Like that's the part that I don't like. And the only reason I don't like is because you're the leader. You're the MVP, right? Especially with no James Harden on the floor. So you're sending a bad message to the rest of the locker room. Again, that's Saturday. I don't want to waste too much time on Saturday. Talk to me about what it meant to come back on Friday against the Cavs, because the Cavs, like you said, are a good team. They're a middle of the pack team in the Eastern Conference playoff picture right now. They're young. They get out on the break. They can beat you up on the boards with like the 500 centers and power forwards that they have. And the fact that the Sixers were able to come down by over 20 points in that game, James Harden touched on it afterwards saying, this shows you what we got, right? Like everything's great when we're winning. What's it look like? Who are we when our backs are against the wall? And they had a very nice comeback win on Friday night.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was it was a comeback win. It didn't take 55 and 14 from Embiid. Embiid had 22 and 9, even get double-digit rebounds. And obviously, like I brought up earlier, Maxey was absolutely magnificent. Can't even speak right now. But I think that's the biggest thing is kind of show you that it's not just these 2 guys. There is a third star right now, and he has been unbelievable since the trade. And obviously, Tobias is still going through his woes. But I think that's the biggest thing is the production you got out of Maxey going up against Darius Garland for a heavy load as well. So I take that as probably the biggest talking point of the comeback, that it wasn't heroic efforts from Harden and Embiid. There was something else out of that situation that kind of panned out. And like I brought up earlier, Niang hit a couple shots that night. He had like 5 threes, 6 threes or something. So
yeah, real quick, Doc did say that with no Paul Millsap tonight, DeAndre Jordan's going to get the backup 5 minutes, which it'll be interesting to see because, getting to your point, the others, we'll call them, right? We know the 4. You got the 4. What are you going to get out of the others on a nightly basis? Now, I'm okay if they take turns. If Georges Niang gives you 12 off the bench and Shake gives you 8 or 10 off the bench, I'm good with that. But you can't have nights like this. Anyone notice someone was real quiet this weekend?
Yeah, and he's a problem. He's a legitimate problem, in my opinion.
Are we talking about the same person?
He starts, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He didn't score an effing point
Yeah, dude, it's
in
a
a weekend,
problem.
in 2 games. He
It's a
didn't score
problem.
one singular point.
It seems to be every single time we play one of these heavy front court teams,
Exactly.
bigger, long, athletic, that he is a non-factor. And again, me and you talk about it a lot. It's awesome, and he can shut a player down maybe for one game out of a 7-game series. But what are you bringing consistently every night if you're Matisse Thybulle for this team? And but my thing is this: I was sitting there pleading for Danny Green to get in the starting lineup. Danny Green's not doing anything either, dude. It is this bench is so depleted, and I'm at to the point where it might be the Shake Milton and Isaiah Joe show to finish
It
up
has
the
to be
season and see where it's at a
because
bit.
then the other dude
He,
who's
I
been
couldn't
god
believe
awful,
I
he
couldn't
gets to
believe
start.
he was in the starting lineup.
He gets to start, right? And I heard Doc's logic. I don't hate it. He was, I guess he was saying he would have started Shake, but they wouldn't have had a backup point guard, and he didn't want to play point Ferk in that game. Whatever. Oh my God, can't make it stop. Make the headache go away.
He's so bad, dude. Like so bad.
1 of 5 for 2 points in 21 minutes. Oh my God. What did he do on Friday? Hold on. Now I have to check because I don't even know what he logged on Friday.
He had 7 minutes. He only played 7
0
minutes.
points. That's right. He hardly played on Friday. Okay. So over the weekend. Wow, this is bad. Over the weekend, Matisse Thybulle combined for 0 points, and Furkan Korkmaz combined for 2 points. Daniel Green combined for 6 points, and Paul Millsap, I believe, combined for 4 or 6 points.
Paul Millsap might have had one of the worst basketball plays I've ever seen on Friday night. Remember when Harden threw him that behind the back pass? He caught it 3-point line, pump faked, and tried to do this in and out, and dribbled it off his shin, and it went out of bounds. And I literally was like, DeAndre Jordan, you can't get here quick enough, dude.
And this is my point. And this is not to say Isaiah Joe is going to give you much. It's not to say I'm a big Isaiah Joe guy.
One thing to cut in on here, guys that have played with James Harden, like Gerald Green, and all these guys that just shoot, succeed when they play with James Harden because James Harden puts them in a predicament where they can make shots. And I think Isaiah Joe can kind of succeed in that role. Mm-hmm. But, dude, it's a problem, man. No, it's a legitimate problem. You look around this Eastern Conference, and teams are playing really well. Don't get me wrong, Philadelphia's playing really well.
Yeah.
They lost 1 game since the trade in Harden.
With no James Harden.
Without James Harden. But I just can't believe we're still having this conversation about this bench. And it's the same culprits every single year. It really is. So everyone that was saying JJ Redick, could JJ hop off the announcing table and play?
I wish.
I literally wish, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. This is on it. It's the point I'm at, right? Like it's anyone, and that's why, dude. And this is why I can't figure out Doc. Because just when you think he gets it, like I understand they were shorthanded. So maybe that's the only reason he did it, right? But just when you think he's starting to see how bad Ferk is, he only plays him 7 minutes on Friday night when he was horrible, right? He turns around and starts him the next night. Again, I get you were shorthanded. Isaiah Joe couldn't Danny Green could have started that game. Somebody else could have started that goddamn game. But yeah, like I said, but just going back to the Friday game against Cleveland, let me ask you this again. Like, it's just so sweet having James on this team now because, like I said, don't get me wrong, they were playing horribly in the first half, specifically the first quarter, right? And even when they were down 20-22 that game, didn't he, at least I did you have a sense of like calmness to you? Like not too worried yet. Like if it was the end of the third quarter down 20, shit, right? First half with him on the floor, I'm like, they're okay. They're going to get back in this game at some point.
It stems from what we've talked about since the trade. It's you have the 2 best players on the court, and that's a recipe for success no matter what the deficit is. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see what Philadelphia does guarding these kind of guards like Darius Garland because he kind of got whatever he wanted. I know he didn't shoot the best percentage, but he was making plays for literally everyone on the court. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they do kind of guarding those guys. Luckily, the Eastern Conference isn't loaded with those kind of guys as much as the Western Conference is. Like, you look at Boston, they don't really have a guy like that. Like these quick, speedy guards that have given them like almost like Trae Young kind of gave them fits. So we'll see what they do. I know Matisse Thybulle was also in foul trouble the other night. He still doesn't get a pass at all for the lack of everything he brings to the floor. So I just want to definitely note that as well. I'm pretty sure he was like upwards of close to 20 assists or something. So he had a really good night.
All right, let's move on and get into tonight's matchup, look ahead a little bit, and kind of just look around the rest of the Eastern Conference at the end of the show because, like we said, obviously great comeback win at home against a good Cavs team on Friday. Bless you, Gint. And then a back-to-back traveling to Miami, no James Harden. Sixers decided to have their worst shooting night that I may have ever seen against that team. They fought, they scratched, they clawed their way back into the game. Overall, it wasn't enough in the fourth quarter, and they got beat by double digits in Miami. Whatever, scratch it off. Go move on to the next one tonight against Chicago. Again, before we get to that, like yesterday, talk to me about Brooklyn, dude. Listen, and props to Boston, right? This is not just an anti-Brooklyn thing. Boston's real. Like Boston, I thought a couple months ago when they were talking about, tearing up the duo and things were looking bleak in Boston, I thought, oh shit, they're going to be a problem and they're going to be a tough out with those two dudes come playoff time, right? And Tatum balled out yesterday. But Brooklyn, you had KD back. I know it's not a finished product. I know what everyone's waiting for, right? And who knows when we're going to get to see that finished product. But you had everybody else. And you lost. Dude, it's becoming a more and more of a possibility. They're playing an away game or they're playing Toronto in the play-in, and Kyrie won't be available regardless. Now, again, that vaccine mandate could come to an end before then, but you're looking at home in Brooklyn where he can't play as of now, and he couldn't play in Canada in Toronto if they get Toronto in the first round.
Yeah. It's tough to put your finger on it because obviously you look at them on paper. They are what they are. But you're right. They have a lot to figure out in a small amount of time. Now, I don't know what their schedule looks like. I'm pretty sure Brooklyn had a tough schedule after the All-Star break.
Dude, they're below 500.
Yeah, they're below 500. So, and you mentioned they might have to go to Toronto to play the Raptors, obviously, in the play-in, which Kyrie will not be able to play in that game, again, as of right now. And they're sitting there talking like Ben might not even play. So it's not looking good, obviously.
It's not just not looking good, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to me. I look forward to them losing every night just because of what the media has made that trade into and how good Brooklyn is. And you said it. They have a short amount of time to figure this thing out. And theoretically, it sounds perfect with the role that Ben would have to play. We all know this. But everyone just assumes it's going to get figured out. And that's the best part to me, dude. They're under 5. I look forward to them losing every day, almost as much as the Sixers win.
Yeah, and another thing is this. Ben's not the easiest person to get acclimated with, obviously.
No.
Like, you're going to have to figure out a lot with when he gets inserted in the lineup, and he's not going to be inserted for at least 4 more days. We know that because he's not playing in Philadelphia. It came out today. People are talking about he might not even play in March. So
let me ask you another thing about them. So we know as Sixers fans, who couldn't you play Ben with last year?
Dwight Howard.
Okay. Who's Brooklyn's starting center right now?
Andre Drummond.
Okay. In what world are they playing again? So is Ben playing the 5?
So the difference is with them.
Is Aldridge starting instead?
The difference with them is they don't play to get DeAndre Drummond the ball. It's predicated around Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Seth Curry.
Right.
So I don't know how much of an issue they'll be as they would have been in Philadelphia. It would have been a mess in Philadelphia with those two. So again, that's what we're kind of getting at here. We don't know what it's going to look like, and there's not a lot of time left to figure things out. And Steve Nash isn't the most tenured coach in the NBA here to have a lot of answers. I think you'll see a lot of Ben at the 5 in Brooklyn. I think you'll see
Ben on Joel in a playoff series.
Yeah, I mean that's not what's going to happen. But
All
it's
right, here is their
very
upcoming
exciting.
schedule, right? So it looks kind of easy. There's a little stretch in the middle that's like, eh. So Brooklyn has at Charlotte tomorrow, then they're at Philly on Thursday. Next Sunday at Orlando, home against the Mavs, home against the Blazers. Then they have home Jazz at Memphis, at Miami, right? And then you throw in the Bucks again later in the year, the Cavs. So their schedule's not that difficult. There's a stretch. There's probably 5 games in there that's like, all right, they should lose these games or they could lose these games, but you'll never know. So it'll be interesting to see. I would just love for them to keep finding ways to lose games.
Yeah, and they can. It's very big possibility. They dug themselves a hole to get out of, and it would
It's
almost be at the
beautiful.
point. It would almost be at the point where it's almost kind of like a little impressive if they avoid the play-in. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be in the play-in. It kind of depends on kind of where they seed from there, but we'll see.
What's up, Abe? Look at him. He's back on the daily schedule, Gint.
How we doing, Abe?
He's back. Abe, give me your thoughts on tonight's game, bro. Chili, give me your thoughts as well. Obviously, and that's what we'll get into right now. And we'll wrap up this show with some Bulls Sixers talk. Again, initial thoughts heading in. Obviously, James Harden is back tonight. I believe he just needs 2 threes to move into third all time in 3-point attempts made. So history will probably be made tonight, most likely. The Bulls Sixers obviously 3-0 against them. Is Vucevic playing or no?
I'm not 100% sure. Not that it really matters because I'm pretty sure Joel beats numbers against Nick Vucevic.
Oh,
It's like 32-11 or something. He owns that matchup. Vucevic is not a very good interior defender, and
he's a game time decision.
Joel is the most dominant player in basketball. On the other side, DeMar DeRozan has had a very, very good career and season. I like that, Abe. I actually took him for 30 over. So that'll be interesting. Like I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan has played very, very well against Philadelphia in his career. Yeah, exactly. So I'm interested to see who they throw at him. I'm assuming Thibault will get a lot of the looks at him tonight, even though I think the last time they played, he had like 37 or something. I don't really remember how much time Thibault spent on him there, but it'll be interesting. I think you'll see Vucevic on the perimeter a lot, trying to draw a beat away from the rim because they kind of have no interior.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am interested to see how DeAndre Jordan looks tonight. If he does get backup time, how much he plays with Harden, how that kind of looks. So that's probably a couple things I'm really looking at tonight.
He's going to catch a lob tonight, and that roof, it's just going to go nuts because it's new. It's something with Harden and, the backup 5, who everyone knows. Paul Millsap does not have a lot of fans in this city right now. I'm here on Paul Millsap. I don't care. Like, I understand people go nuts about him. A lot of people dislike him. He's almost a net negative every time he steps on the floor so far. He's not shooting the ball well at all. He's turning the ball over. So he doesn't look great. And if DeAndre Jordan can come in, block a shot and catch a lob from Harden and grab some boards in a little bit of minutes, then, Philly's going to eat it up and they're going to love it. Because, again, if there's one thing this fan base loves, and don't get me wrong, it is important, but this fan base loves their backup 5. They need a serviceable backup 5.
They've been pleading for Charles Bassey to be it for
and it's showtime tonight. Oh, dude, that'll be my worst nightmare. If DeAndre Jordan comes out tonight and looks like garbage, oh my God, stay off of Twitter because Paul Reed and Charles Bassey stands are coming out, and they're coming out hard.
They'll be trending.
But yeah, looking at tonight's game, Chicago just doesn't scare me. Like, they're a good team. They're a nice team, right? But obviously right now, Vucevic might not play. Lonzo's out. Patrick Williams is out. Obviously, Caruso's out. So they are shorthanded, and they're not, they don't have who they would normally have. But either way, they're 3-0 against them. They have no answer for Embiid. This is the first time we've had Harden against them. They're a nice team. They don't scare me at all, dude. They're horrible against good teams. What are they, 2-14 this year against teams with a 600 or better win percentage? So I'm not that worried. Don't get me wrong, it'll be a nice win for the Sixers because what does everyone keep pleading for on national television? I got to see them beat contenders first. All right, well, you guys all love Chicago, right? Earlier in the year, Chicago, when they were the 1 seed. All right, well, let the Sixers go 4-0 against them this year and see what you're talking about now.
Yeah. They were the exciting talk. It's a recency bias thing. They were the ones that got together this summer. DeMar DeRozan started out really hot. They looked really good off the start. They're kind of settling into what I think they are, and I think they're in a tier below the Miamis, the Phillies, the Milwaukees, the Brooklyns, and probably even they're probably on the map right below Boston because they've looked really good, and that might even be a little bit of recency bias, even though I just called them out for it. But you're right though. Philly just seems like they kind of own this matchup so far this season. They have a little bit better at almost everything than the Bulls do since they've added Harden, obviously. This is the first time we're playing them with Harden, so that'll be interesting. Also, how Chicago tries to match up with them, who they throw at him for a while. So we'll see. I do think they get a W tonight. I know we didn't really get into the prediction segment, but I'll give that to you. I think they get a W tonight. I don't think it will be a blowout. I think they'll win the game pretty handily, though.
Tyrese Maxey, is he somewhat of an X factor tonight? Obviously, he's going to be that in many matchups. But tonight, who does Chicago have to throw at him and try to slow him down?
I don't know who they're going to wheel out, depending on who plays. I assume I don't know. That's tough. If they start Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic plays Javonte Green and Io, he'll probably get a look of Io. I think it's Ayo or Io, the kid out of Illinois.
That's the name I saw on Twitter before we went live.
He's been really, really good against guards in the NBA. I was reading a stat the other night. It was like he held Trae Young to 5 of 16. It was like a list of really good players he's had some success with. Super physical defender, quick. He might get some looks at him. I don't know, but he might get a lot of Harden looks too. So we'll see. Chicago starts really small. I'm looking at the depth chart correctly right now, so I don't really know where they'll go. But this should be Tobias Harris night if they're going to be this small. This has DeMar DeRozan listed as their power forward. DeMar DeRozan is listed as their power forward tonight. I don't think that's who they'll wheel out, especially if Vucevic doesn't play. No. They also have Tony Bradley, the guy we dreaded moving, right? Remember him? But so Chicago is just freakishly athletic, and the Sixers are not. So that might be something they can kind of take advantage of. But like I mentioned, I think Philly wins this game handily because they just have a little bit more of everything Chicago has. Scoring guards, a good big man that could score, but they have a rim protector that Chicago doesn't have. They have James Harden, which Chicago doesn't have. So we'll see.
Does Furk hit a three tonight?
I don't know if he's going to play.
All right, let me read you this quick parlay before we get out of here because I agree with you. I think that the Sixers win tonight. Like I said, it's a nice match. It's a good matchup. I like it. Chicago's a good team. They're an upper echelon team in the Eastern Conference record-wise. They just don't strike any fear or nervousness into my body. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but we'll see. So I like the Sixers to win. I like James Harden to obviously break that 3-point record tonight. And I like Joel Embiid to bounce back after a sluggish looking weekend. But here's what I got for you again, right? James Harden, 20+ points. Joel Embiid, 25+ points. Tobias Harris, 15+ points. James Harden, 8+ assists. James Harden, 6+ rebounds. And then here we go. Now, here you can tinker these a little bit. You can lower them down by one each. But Joel Embiid, 1+ made 3. Tobias Harris, 2+ made 3s. And James Harden, 3+ made 3s. Obviously, if you wanted to go Toby 1+ and Harden 2+, it would lower the odds a bit. But those odds are plus 1,658. And I'm just looking at it, and I want to know what kills me.
I like it. Harden threes gets me very skeptical because I think they can't really defend him on the perimeter. I think he'll be very pass heavy tonight, like 12 dimes type pass heavy. But knowing him, he'll hit 2 step back threes in the first 2 possessions of the game, and I'll look like an idiot. But I like it. It's so tough to gauge. I feel like I put in the same parlay since we got him. I put 25 points for Embiid, 20 for Harden, 10 assists for Harden, 10 rebounds for Harden, and Maxey to make a 3. and it's cashed out pretty much every single game besides the second Knicks game. So it's tough.
It's tough, dude. It's a lot easier. Abe, yeah, those are the ones I was worried about. So, like, what I'm saying is, I might also double down and just deduct the 3 from each. So I might roll out Embiid 1, Toby 1, and Harden 2, rather than going 3 and 2, because it is a lot to ask for. But it's like Tobias is going to get those looks, and if there's one thing Harden wants, it's when you're open, shoot the ball. So it'll all come down to if he's able to cash in when he's open. Yeah, 3. I don't know. We'll see. I think I might throw in another one and deduct a little bit. But we shall see. I like the Sixers to win tonight. Gint does as well. Guys, we will be back either late tomorrow night, or we'll be back Wednesday for sure. And then obviously Thursday, the big Brooklyn game, Ben supposedly returning to Philly. You know,
Do you think that's a smart move by them? Bring him in as a spectator first?
No.
I think they have this like epiphany where he's only going to get booed once, and then we'll lay off after that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It will be the loudest boo in the history of basketball.
Second, for a dude with the mental health issues that are so stated, yeah, that's going to help, right? Like, that's going to help to have you have all these issues, and this issue with this city specifically. You weren't able to sit on the bench as a member of this team, even though you claimed the issues weren't with the fans or the team or anybody, right? You just needed a fresh start. You don't sit on the bench here. You're going to come back the first time back with Brooklyn and sit on the bench. You're going to get booed, not just booed, Gin. And I'm not saying people are right for it. They're not. But he's going to get called things that mental health wise, you're not going to want to hear. You're going to get called every name in the book if you're sitting on that bench. And that's just like, it's not right. People shouldn't be throwing out some wild ass names and calling them this and that, but it's the truth of the situation. And I think it's funny, man. His there's rumors of the back issue isn't real and they don't want him he's not playing in Philly. Well, if he's not playing in Philly, why the F is he sitting on the bench? And that might be worse, Gint. Is that not what do you think? Is that worse?
It's just going to be so bad either way. I don't think there's a worse. Like, Philly fans will totally put the game aside and just chant, "Ben, you suck."
Yeah.
For hours.
Oh, fuck you, Ben is coming quick.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Is that on national TV? It has to.
If it's not, there's a travesty that has occurred in national basketball.
Before we wrap up,
it's a Thursday, right? No. It's Thursday. Yeah, it's definitely on TNT.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. That's going to wrap up this Monday edition of the Phaithful Fanatic Show. As always, guys, check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. We stream to you guys live through our Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels. You check me out on Twitter as well at DylanJD98. And of course, my faithful co-host, Matt McGinty. Check him out at Matt_McGinty. And check out our proud friends over at manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM. You can see it on the bottom of your screen right here, all caps DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. And that is going to wrap up the show. Go Sixers. Hope you guys win some money and have a nice night.